Gur Magath. I move amendment number 1 to delete all words after that and substitute the following. Dáil Éireann resolves that the Education, Health, Relationships and Sex Education Bill 2021 be deemed to be read a second time this day 9 months. I welcome the opportunity to appear before this House to participate in this important debate. I also wish to thank Deputy Gannon for raising this important issue, which I believe and agree must be addressed. The Government is not opposing this bill, and I am proposing a timed amendment to this private member's bill in order to allow time for work currently underway by the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment to be advanced. The amendment will have the effect of the bill being read a second time 9 months from today. This will allow the NCCA further time for its development work. I would like to use my time in this debate to set out some background on the work that has been undertaken by the NCCA and also to set out the Government's response to this bill. Access to relationships and sexuality education is an essential right for students and young people. Every student has a right to access information about sexual health, relationships and sexuality, and this must be supported through our education system. Social, Personal and Health Education, or SPHE, which includes RSE, is mandatory in all primary schools and indeed the junior cycle. RSE is required at all levels, from primary school through to senior cycle. The Department of Education has set out the content of each of the programmes in the SPHE and RSE syllabuses and guidelines. Department of Education Circular 27/2010 requires that schools have a policy for RSE, which has been developed in consultation with teachers, parents, guardians, members of boards of management and indeed students themselves. The schools must teach all aspects of the RSE programme, including but not limited to family planning, sexually transmitted infections and sexual orientation. The circular provides that all aspects of the programme can and should be taught within the ethos and value system of the school as expressed in the school RSE policy. However, it should be emphasised that elements of the programme cannot be omitted on the grounds of school ethos. I do believe all of us are cognizant of the change that has occurred since the present RSE curriculum was developed. It is crucial that our young people are taught material which is current, which is up to date, and which is reflective of their own lived experiences in a modern world. As we know, the internet and social media have considerably changed the context in which education operates. And of course, there have been very considerable developments which have occurred in respect of attitudes to sexuality, more broadly, issues such as sexual orientation, contraception and consent. We must ensure that the curriculum provides information in a manner which is factual and appropriate to a student's age and stage of development. As such, in 2018, the then Minister for Education and Skills, Richard Bruton, requested the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment to undertake a major review of RSE in schools across all stages of education to ensure that it is fit for purpose and meets the needs of young people today in modern Ireland. The request to the NCCA included a number of areas for inclusion in the review, and these included how the RSE curriculum is planned, how it is taught and how parents are involved. That the entire curriculum is being taught in schools to a high standard, the role of the classroom teacher in teaching the curriculum and the appropriate level of supports which are currently being provided by external providers, what time is given to it, what resources are being provided and what support materials are being used, and how effective is the continuing professional development opportunities that are currently provided by the Department and other bodies to RSE teachers. The review was also asked to specifically consider a number of curriculum areas, in particular consent, what it means and its importance, developments in contraception, healthy, positive sexual expression in relationships, safe use of the internet, social media and its effects on relationships and self-esteem, and LGBTQ+ matters. The Department of Education and the NCCA continue to advance that work. The report on the review of relationships and sexual education in primary and post-primary schools was published by the NCCA in December of 2019. On foot of the recommendations within the report, The NCCA has established 2 development groups, one for primary and one for post-primary, to oversee the developing of an updated curriculum and materials in this area, and supporting the development of guidance material also for schools. Both the primary and post-primary SPHE RSE development groups have been meeting online and on a monthly basis since the groups were convened in October of 2020. The immediate focus of the NCCA work has been on creating support materials for teachers for publication online as part of an interim guidance toolkit. The toolkit's purpose is to support effective teaching and learning of SPHE at RSE, linked to the current curriculum. This work is progressing well, and extensive supports have now been published as part of these toolkits, which can be accessed on the curriculumonline.ie website. The supports include a portal which acts as a repository of teaching and learning resources linked to the primary SPHE curriculum, the SPHE Junior Cycle Short Course and Senior Cycle SPHE Framework. There is also advice on how to create a safe SPHE classroom where young people can openly discuss matters that are important in their lives, and guidance on effective teaching methodologies for SPHE. Specific guidance on how to teach sensitive topics that arise in SPHE will be added to the toolkits shortly, including guidance on how to teach about consent in an age and stage appropriate manner, and how to ensure that students who identify as LGBTQ feel included in the SPHE classroom. In tandem with providing these immediate supports for teachers, preparation for the broader redevelopment and updating of the SPHE curriculum is well underway, with an initial focus on junior cycle. Following a review of the current junior cycle SPHE short course, a brief for the redevelopment of junior cycle SPHE was developed. Together with a background paper, this brief was published on the NCCA website, consulted upon from late September to early November this year. Feedback from this consultation is now being analysed and will be reported on in early 2022. Consultation feedback will inform the work of the Post-Primary Development Group in updating the specification for junior cycle SPHE. Importantly, consultation will also take place in 2022 on the draft updated specification, during which students, teachers, parents and wider civil society can provide their views. Drawing on this feedback, the updated specification will be finalised by the end of 2022. It is planned that the new specification will be rolled out to all schools from September 23. The redevelopment of the junior cycle SPHE and RSE curriculum materials will be followed by the redevelopment of the senior cycle and primary curricula. Resources to equip teachers with the skills, competence and confidence to teach the curriculum effectively will also be developed. In updating the curriculum, particular attention is being given to the inclusion of learning in topics including, but not limited to, the following: healthy, positive sexual expression in relationships, safe use of the internet and social media, consent, pornography, gender and sexual discrimination, developments in relation to contraception and LGBTQ+ matters. In addition, interagency meetings are taking place to discuss how teachers' professional development needs can be met in this area, and how teachers can be supported and upskilled to enable the successful implementation of an updated curriculum. To sum up, the work is well underway in developing an integrated, updated SPHE RSE curriculum across primary and post-primary that is grounded in the rights of all children and young people to be inclusive, age and developmentally appropriate, learning aimed at enabling them to create and maintain healthy, respectful relationships and lead fulfilling and healthy lives. The work is grounded in research and international good practice, as well as significant consultations that have taken place with teachers, parents, students and other education partners during recent times. This evidence-informed, collaborative and consultative approach is important in progressing this vitally important and sensitive area of curriculum development. I believe that it is vital that students have access to factual, evidence-informed, scientific and objective information. I also believe that where legislation is needed to support the right approach, then we must ensure that this happens. This is reflected in the programme for government, which states that this government will develop inclusive, age-appropriate RSE and SPHE curricula across primary and post-primary levels, including an inclusive programme on LGBTI plus relationships and making appropriate legislative changes if necessary. For these reasons, I very much welcome Deputy Gannon's initiative in raising this critical issue in this House. I also think it is important that the need for legislation, the form it takes and its content should be informed by the development work that is currently being advanced.
Thank you, Minister.